What's going on, everyone? This is a special episode, a special Facebook Live, or if you're listening to this on a Move Now Chiropractor podcast, because I'm sitting here with my buddy Czar Horton, who's strong first master kettlebell instructor extraordinaire. Flew out from Albuquerque, New Mexico, my old stomping grounds. He's doing a kettlebell seminar with us this weekend. But anyway, had kind of this funny little back and forth conversation with our doctor support, Vlad Modorsky, who's on here right now live. How's it going, Vlad? I told you I was going to do one of these based on this. We're talking about different conversations that we have with doctors when they're interested in our systems and they want to put them into their practice. I'm going to turn this light off and start driving. And basically, they then let their own excuses get in their way. And real quick, before I get into that, if you haven't already, watch our 30-minute pre-recorded demo. If you go to demo.movenowu.com, you can watch the demo. It's 30 minutes. It shows you all the ins and outs of the program. Gives you a pretty good idea of how we roll. Okay? Now, with that said, my title of this is How Implementing Functional Movement in Your Chiropractic Practice, I don't know if I wrote chiropractic practice, is like having a baby. Here's why I said that. Because a lot of people, like maybe you wouldn't have been here if your parents totally planned the perfect time to have a baby. But guess what happens? When a man loves a woman, they end up having babies sometimes, and it's not planned, and it happens. And it's never a fantastic, perfect time for it to happen. And they deal with it, and they do it, and then it's like the best thing that's ever happened to them, because now they have a wonderful changed life forever, because they have this beautiful little child that grows into a human, and they have all this purpose in life, and it just transforms them, right? Right, Czar?
Absolutely.
Sitting next to Czar, he's got 2 kids. I have a little almost 4-year-old. I was not planning on having kids, okay? I'll give you that little secret. My wife and I were good not having kids, and our little boy, he was a oopsie, and it was like a really scary surprise, and we were then excited, and now it's like it's the coolest thing ever. Like, it's completely made our lives so much better. And I know that might seem kind of like a crazy comparison to the whole adding functional movement analogy, but I don't think it's that far off, because like it's never convenient to put a bunch of systems and do a bunch of training in your chiropractic practice. Maybe your front desk person just quit and now you gotta retrain someone. Guess what? We have this amazing process of training people. Perfect timing. You can use this stuff to train your front desk person and your entire staff to use bulletproof systems that are better than what you've ever done before in practice in your entire life. Okay, so it could be a total win. All right? Or maybe, like you don't have a staff person for the exercise department yet, and you realize you got to hire one to make it work. So you want to wait until you hire them first and then start figuring things out. Well, we have so much stuff in our program that it's actually better for you to dive in as the doctor, your staff to look at it. And then when you do hire this exercise person, it's their training that they log in as your employee into your doctor training portal, and they're getting trained to the T right from the beginning. You're a couple weeks ahead of them, so you can guide them and point them in the right direction. And now everything's all set up so that you can keep doing what you're doing while this new hire goes through this training process that we've put into place for them. What other excuses do we hear, or what other it's not a perfect time right now do we hear? Maybe money-wise. Maybe people say, hey, you know what? I'm trying to get everything right, and I'm allocating funds here or there or there. Look, do you want to know how much money you are leaking out of your chiropractic practice because you have systems that are likely not in place, either where people are not seeing the value in what you're doing, you're not offering these amazing services to people that they will gladly pay for. And the quicker you can implement that, the quicker you can actually start to build up more resources. So it truly is an investment of putting a little bit of money into a program, putting a little bit of time into a program, learning it, and then getting these processes into practice up and running as soon as humanly possible. What other excuses do we hear? And I'm not saying excuses to be derogatory, because I know all of us as human beings, we use excuses to justify it in our own mind of why we have limitations on what we can do. And the thing is you can do whatever you set your mind to. I'm not trying to sound like a cliche there, but you can do whatever you set your mind to. And ultimately, the systems and the program that we have helps make things easier. It really does. And so like every single thing that I hear, like I've been there before. I've practiced almost 17 years now, and it's not like it's always been easy in practice. I mean, this is the smoothest it's run in practice with the level of services and complexity that we offer our patients than I've ever had it in my entire time in practice. I'm more satisfied in practice now with my outcomes and what I'm providing for my patients, and that I'm actually delivering a well-rounded type of care than ever before. I always felt like something was missing. I'm sitting here next to Czar. He's kind of eavesdropping on my thing. No, he's not eavesdropping. He's actually a big reason why I got into functional movement. Czar, back in the day, I don't know if you ever heard the story, but back in the day, I was big into bodybuilding. Czar's always been into functional training before it even became a freaking thing. I mean, Czar was like, I mean, that's so true. Like how now it's so trendy and so cool of like, we do functional training. And you're like, I've done it since 2002, right? Yeah. Okay. And so Czar has this big kettlebell gym out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he was the guy that was always trying to get me into doing more kettlebell work when I was doing bodybuilding. And I basically like trained myself into dysfunction. And then when I got into functional movement and started looking at this, I realized that kettlebells was like the tool of choice that all these functional movement gurus were referring to. And they were actually speaking really highly of this group called Strong First. And it turns out that, that Czar is like one of the top dudes in Strong First, and like he's just kind of humble and never told me like, hey Todd, I actually know a lot, and you should listen to me. And so now, you know, years later, we've flown you out here. What, this is the fourth time? Yeah. So fourth time we've flown him out here, and he does like some private seminar training with us, which is awesome. And then a good buddy of mine owns a real functional training gym here, so he trains their trainers. And then in 3 weeks, I'm going to do my SFG level 2, which is Strong First certification. And Czar's one of the instructors. And believe me, he doesn't take it easy on me, okay? No, he doesn't. He like purposely makes whatever other instructors there work with me so that he doesn't work with me, so it's not biased. But anyway, Vlad's saying, is that how you feel about Grayson? Okay, so back to my original topic, is that adding functional movement, corrective exercise to a chiropractic practice is like having a baby, and that it's never perfect timing. It's never going to be perfect timing. Don't wait for that perfect timing approach, because guess what happens? You'll be 65 years old, ready to have babies, and by that time, you're going to be shooting blanks, and your wife isn't going to have any eggs left, and it's not going to work. Okay, so is that funny? Okay.
It's sad funny.
It's sad funny. Okay, but that's the reality of it. It's like you can wait until freaking you've been practicing 30 years and then you'll have another excuse. So like Jocko Willink talks about, like a really cool post that one of our Move Now doctors put inside of our doctor training forum. He said, be like binary code. Okay, ones and zeros, yes and no. Are you going to go to the gym today? Yes or no, like no shades of gray. Are you going to be excellent in practice? Yes or no. Are you going to put corrective exercise and functional movement in your practice to do the best for your patients? Yes or no, and just commit to it and do it. But don't make the excuse of like, it's not a good time and I'm going to do it later and all this sort of thing. Just freaking commit to it. And like, if you're not going to do it, wipe it off your radar forever, and don't kid yourself that you're going to do it. Okay, just admit you're not going to do it. But if you are going to do it, if there's any glimpse of hope you're going to do it now, get access to it now, because the way that we set up our program is there is no like monthly reoccurring fee or anything right now at the moment. There might be in the future, but there isn't right now. So you can get access to it. You can start training on it now, and then you can implement it when some of the stars start to align. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say here. Hopefully this will make a good podcast. What do you think? What do you think, Czar?
I think so.
A good podcast?
So.
What do you think, Vlad and Brandy and everyone else watching it? All right.
Yeah, you could go into that a little more. And I remember, I don't know if people can hear me, but I remember when Todd started down the road of implementing the functional movement into his practice, I was like, dude, this is light years ahead of what's happening, and this is what needs to happen, that follow-up care, because parking lot syndrome was running rampant with people and myself, and so I had to piece together my own aftercare after, because I love chiropractic, but there was things about it that I felt were missing. And Todd was, after he kind of saw the benefit of functional training stuff, and he decided to integrate it, I was like, this is it. So listen to the guy.
Cool. Thanks, buddy. And by the way, Czar over here, he's 52 years old. I know he hates when I always tell him. But look at this guy. Look at this guy. Oh, my light doesn't work. He's 52 years old. He looks like he's 30. The secret is functional movement and kettlebells and Move Now University. Okay. Anyway. All right. So, Vlad, I want to answer, is that how I feel about Grayson? How I feel about Grayson is I love the little guy more than anything. He's amazing. He's transformed my life. It was not planned, but Linda and I had little Grayson, and we are thrilled that we have him. So life couldn't be better, but it wasn't planned. It wasn't the perfect timing. We didn't wait till the stars aligned. We had plenty of excuses, my wife and I, of why we weren't going to plan on having children right now, because it wasn't good timing. And that's the reality. So that's why I called this how implementing functional movement in your practice is like having a baby. Anyway, all right, check out the demo if you haven't already, demo.movenowU.com. And Vlad, maybe you can put the little link in the comment section for the stuff for Black Friday for the Move Now hookups, which depending on when you listen to this on a podcast, it might have already passed, so it's probably not going to be valid on a podcast if you're listening to this in the future. But if you're watching this live or you see this like around November, before Thanksgiving, before Black Friday 2019, so I'm going to timestamp this whole podcast, this whole Facebook Live, and hopefully it'll still be what's it called, evergreen, where you can still listen to it in the future and it's still relevant. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Anyway, we got to go into Boise Co-op and grab some healthy wine for tonight. Is that smart to drink wine before you train kettlebells tomorrow?
Probably a little bit.
I don't know. Anyway, all right, over and out. See ya. Bye, everyone.